And you mentioned really early on in this chat, you said that, I don't know whether the word was you're not ashamed or you're unapologetic to, what you've been charged for recording those conversations. And I fucking love that because I think, we had a chat off camera about it. You said you listened to my Charlie Teo episode. I knew that episode would get good and bad publicity because he's a polarizing character that some people agree with, some people obviously don't. I fucking love Charlie. I think what he's done is heroic. I'm behind him. It's why I brought him on the podcast to have a conversation. And I made a decision before that podcast. I believe in what this man's done. I support it. I respect him. I'm going to have a conversation, and knowing that I'm coming to the table personally with the right intention, and I'm expressing what I authentically and honestly believe, whatever the consequences are, I'm happy to bear them. I think it sounds very similar for yourself.
Look, you've got to own what you've done. I think, and look, I make mistakes every day, and I'll make a mistake today. I'll make a mistake tomorrow. We all make mistakes. Own up if it's a mistake, but if you believe in something, and that's probably there's a bit of a square peg in a round hole in the police, because I took issue on a couple of things during my career. But it wasn't for personal gain. It was just because I truly believed that was the right thing. When I was charged, and I won't bore people with it because, on the scale of things, when you look at what happened to me compared to, what's happened with the people who've lost loved ones and people who've been murdered, it pales into insignificance. But I could have taken a knee and gone, because there were certain people that wanted to, break me. I could have taken a knee and said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't do it again, blah, 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 and it would have sort of blown over. But this is my opinion. Other people might have other opinions. I can justify what I did, and I wasn't going to play their games. I wasn't prepared to do it. Now, you have to be an idiot to cut off your nose to spite your face type thing. Like, why didn't I just, continue on? There was a principle involved, and if I sold my principles out on that, and I pride myself in my ethical behaviour as a police officer and my principles, I don't think I'd be comfortable with myself. So you pay a price for that. And Charlie's situation, he's stuck his head up, and people have gone at him. And I listened to that podcast you did with him, and I thought the thing that I liked about it, he didn't shy away from anything.
No, he owned it, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had a similar conversation with him. I don't know if you recall this moment on the podcast, but I referenced the Batman quote. Now, I was quite a Batman fan as a kid. It was my first dream was to be Batman. I realised
I'm not going to say I love Batman because I became a police officer.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, right, so let's talk about a moment in, I think it's The Dark Knight. There's a quote where somebody says, if you're a hero for long enough, or if you're a hero and you live long enough, you eventually become the villain. And for me, that speaks to tall poppy culture. And we spoke about that being a theme in that conversation with Charlie. If it's not out of line for me, and tell me if it is, because I don't want to put you in hot water, but are there reasons why you think people wanted you out of the force?
You've raised it. I'll address it. I don't raise it like the tall poppy, because if I do, it sounds like he's up himself. He just thinks he was better than people. As I said, I would stand up on things that other people wouldn't necessarily think I should do as a police officer. I marched on Parliament 4 times down Macquarie Street with Aboriginal families protesting about the way that their matter had been treated. That didn't make me popular in an organisation. I also, and it could have been any one of 100 or so police that were involved in different things. They did an Underbelly series, Underbelly Badness, that was based around the investigation I was leading, when Underbelly was the top show in the country. I noticed a change in things from there. I noticed I almost had a target on my back. As silly as it sounds, we're talking a TV series. And people often, I've been criticised, and this again, people's opinions, that I sought recognition or sought time in the media. The reality was that I investigated for 25 years, investigating homicides. There's probably 3 investigations that attracted media attention. There's all these countless other ones that I didn't. And the reason they got media attention is because of the nature of the crimes. The only investigation that I actively pushed for media attention was the murder of 3 Aboriginal kids, because no one cared. They were the Bowraville kids, Colin Walker, Evelyn Greenup and Clinton Speedy, who were murdered in Bowraville in 1990 and 91. I took over in 96, investigating that, reinvestigating that investigation. I gave evidence at a parliamentary inquiry, and I said we didn't properly resource it. It wasn't done properly, and people would come to me. Members of the media would come to me to talk about other high-profile jobs I was involved in, and I'd say, well, we've had 3 kids killed by a serial killer in a small country town that the police, because of a whole range of things, and racism also came into it, I wasn't shying away, didn't properly resource the investigation. Well, we can't really report on that because I don't think people would be interested in it because it's the Aboriginal kids. It's changed now. I think we've changed. So, I proactively generated interest on that investigation. As for the other ones, I was just doing my job.